Today I'm going to tell you the story of some really intriguing history of Southeast Missouri. It's a story that involves a number of families in the Lormers, the Ramseys, the Gibboneys, and the Houghts. This particular story revolves most directly around Lewis Houck, who was very prominent in the development of our region around the turn of the century. I'm Bobby Gray. This is Briarwood. Lewis Houck was a man of many talents. He was well known in the area as a railroad tycoon. But in addition to that, he was an attorney, a statesman, an educator, an author, and a builder. He built Briarwood in 1901 as a gift for his daughter. In doing so, all the woodwork you see throughout the entire home was sourced directly from the property of the estate. As a railroad man, Lewis Houck knew steam. So when it came time for him to create a system to heat the entire house, he went back to what he knew. He went to steam. So he created a steam boiler system in a shack out behind the house that literally used the pressure of that steam to push the heat throughout the entire home through all of these radiators. At some point in time, they decided they wanted to go a little bit further, and they did want to add some fireplaces. Since the home was built without fireplaces, it created a unique set of circumstances for Houck to overcome. Typically, a home that had the fireplaces built as part of the new construction, you would see the fireplace actually built on the exterior of the home. In this case, they decided to build inward and build support structure in the basement that included timber and steel, completely support the weight of this fireplace with a flue system that goes entirely through the second and third floor. One great aspect and feature of this particular fireplace is that this mantle actually came from the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. It was floated down the Mississippi and actually installed here at Briarwood. One of the great things about owning a historical home is that you don't necessarily have to live like it's 1901. As you can see, the current and previous owners of the home have made many wonderful upgrades to the kitchen. Previous children, however, have had quite a different effect on the home. Lewis Houck not only built Briarwood for his daughter, but also for his new son-in-law, Charles Houghton, on the occasion of their wedding. So it's not hard to imagine generations of the Houghton children running up and down the multi-levels of stairs within Briarwood. And it's also not hard to imagine a story that occurred within family lore of a day when the two Houghton boys were playing with their grandfather in their presence and actually shot a BB through the stained glass window of this level. Fast forward a couple of generations, and you have Drew Houghton, who was just recently appointed as the Director of Public Safety for the state of Missouri. Charles Houghton and Lewis Houck's daughter Irma moved into Briarwood in 1901 to begin raising their young family. However, the complete history of Briarwood begins over 100 years prior to that, and it actually begins with Louis Lormer. Louis Lormer came to the area in the late 1700s at the time when everything west of the Mississippi was under Spanish rule. He was made commandant of the area by the Spanish, and he was tasked with divvying out land grants to any settlers that were willing to come to the area and claim their allegiance to the Spanish king. Lormer gave Andrew Ramsey a land grant directly to the south of his very own. On this property, Ramsey built a two-story log cabin for his personal residence that's still standing today and is still resided in today. A short time later, Andrew Ramsey's sister, Rebecca Ramsey, and her husband, Andrew Gibboney, also came to the area and also received a land grant from Lormer. Their grant was directly to the northwest of Andrew Ramsey's. That is the estate that became known as Elmwood. Both Andrew and Rebecca Ramsey were of the Ramsey clan that hailed from Dalhousie Castle in Scotland. It was for this reason that the Gibboneys decided to model their new home at Elmwood in the likeness of Dalhousie Castle. Carry yourself along 2 generations later to Rebecca and Alexander Gibboney's granddaughter, Mary Hunter Gibboney, and she marries local attorney and railroad tycoon Lewis Houck, which in turn takes us back to the beginning of the story, the origins of Briarwood. In the construction of Briarwood, Lewis Houck spared no expense. Some of the features that demonstrate this are the 3 inches of concrete that he poured underneath all the hardwood floors on every floor throughout the house to include the attic space, the oyster shells that he added to the plaster as a fire retardant, as well as a water tank system that he built into the attic space supported by train rails that supplied water to the house. Briarwood was built in a prominent location on Mount Tabor. In choosing this location, the home was afforded a striking view of the Andrew Ramsey estate and cabin, and even across the banks of the mighty Mississippi to the scenic hills of southern Illinois. We're now in Charles and Irma's master bedroom. In the early 1900s, not everyone was lucky enough to have running water in the home. With Lewis Houck having put the water system, the tank system, in the attic space, the Judens were afforded this fine luxury. Houck's innovation is evident throughout the interior of Briarwood, but is on display within the grounds of the estate as well. From this point, it would have been just a short carriage ride to the Gibbony Houck estate of Elmwood. In typical Houck fashion, he designed everything with great thought. This very walkway leads to a stoop that was designed with the carriage in mind. So it's at this location that you can envision the guests of Briarwood as they board their carriage and bid their farewells. The story of Briarwood is just one piece of the intriguing history of Southeast Missouri. I'm Bobby Gray. Thank you for watching.